Good morning, children. In the last class, we were discussed until the monohybrid cross, right? Okay. So these are all the classes. They are interrelated, interconnected to each other. So before we are going towards the next topic, just recall the earlier topics also, isn't it? In the first class of this chapter, we were discussed about all the basic terminologies of the genetics. Then after, we also studied about the seven pair of contrasting characters, which is studied by the Mendel. And in the last class, that means in the yesterday, we were discussed about the monohybrid cross, isn't it? So in this class, we will study about so these are all the important topics, some of the important topics, that is, which includes the back cross, the test cross, dihybrid cross, the concept of the dominance. Okay, so these are the topics. Let us discuss one by one. Okay, fine. Yeah. So in that one, the first one. See, as I said, whatever the Mendel conducted the hybridization experiments, based on that one, whatever he has given the laws, they are also known as Mendelian's law. Okay, so then it is about the inheritance. That's why Mendel's laws of inheritance. As I said in that one, the first topic is backcross. Okay, the backcross. What is the backcross? Okay, yeah. The backcross means it is a cross between a hybrid and its any parent. That means whenever we cross any two parents by considering a contrasting characters, whatever will get the F1 generation. If we cross those F1 generation with any one of the parent, either that F1, for example, whatever he has given here only, if we cross between, that means capital T and small t, whatever we get the F1 generation, that is capital T, small t, that is heterozygous hybrid, isn't it? If we cross this F1 hybrid with respect to any one of the parents, either it should be crosses with capital T, small t with capital T, or if it is crosses with small t, then those will be considered as the back cross. Okay, but when it comes to the test cross is nothing but the crossing of an organism, that is nothing but F1 hybrid, which whatever we got the F1 hybrid is heterozygous dominant phenotype, right? If it is crosses with the recessive parents, then it will be considered as the test cross. Okay. See, remember there is a terminology. The test cross is also a back cross, but back cross is not always a test cross. This statement they can ask in your competitive exams. Okay. So, in other words, the test cross, how can you define the test cross means? It is a cross made between F1 hybrids with its double recessive parent. Okay. So, the phenomena is known as test cross. Okay. The formed hybrids, they are nothing but the test cross triads. Okay. So, here only whatever they have given, you just see here. The capital T, small t is the heterozygous tall hybrid. When it is crosses with the small t, that is nothing but recessive parents, homozygous pure dwarf recessive parents, we will get the capital T, small t, that is a heterozygous tall, that is half of the 50% of the next triads. Then we will get the small t, that is a homozygous dwarf. Okay, so that we can say the monohybrid test cross ratio is always 1:1. Did you got it? Okay, so here the right side also the textbook diagram they have given. The hybrid is a capital T, small t, heterozygous tall. When it crosses with the homozygous recessive parent, that is small t, dwarf, homozygous dwarf. Whatever we will get the next generation, that is half of the percentage, that is the 50% of the triads will be heterozygous tall and the 50% will be homozygous dwarf. Okay? Yes. See here there is another example also which is present in your textbook. You can go through it also. I have given the PDF textbook for you people also. I have sent you in the first class only. See, the test cross is used to. Generally, they can ask in examination or the test also. What is the significance of the test cross? Okay, the test cross is generally used to find out the unknown genotype of the characters. Okay, and it helps in the knowing the whether the organism is homozygous or heterozygous for a trait. And remember, it helps in, that means the test cross is also helps in knowing the genotype of an individual for a particular character. And very important one, the test cross helps in predicting the genotype of the test organisms. Okay, so this is very important because always we cannot use the maximum sampling. Instead of that one, by using this technique, we will conduct by considering only few number of the individuals. Based on that one, we can give the ratios also. Okay, so actually here in your textbook, instead of giving the monohybrid directly by considering the flower petal color, so as we will discuss, it is also one of the character when we are studying about the seventh pair of the contrasting character, isn't it? Do you remember? So that is nothing but the flower color, violet and white. Do you remember? Yes. If we consider that one also, by considering, that means first of all we have to conduct a monohybrid cross. If you cross between capital D, that is capital W into small w, that is nothing but homozygous pure violet, okay, the dominant character. When it is crosses with the homozygous pure, that is white, the recessive character, whatever we will get, that is capital W, small w, is considered as the F1, that is a filial first generation. By considering this one as a parent, if you cross with capital W, small w with respect to the small w, there is nothing but homozygous pure, that is recessive white. So here the experimentation, the graphical representation is given. So homozygous recessive, small w, and if it crosses with respect to the capital W, small w, whatever we will get this, half of the flowers are violet and half of the flowers are white. Okay, so this is actually same as it is, which is given the monohybrid cross, but instead of giving the the monohybrid directly, they have given by considering the test cross. Okay, as I said, the significance, the Mendel conducted the test cross to determine the F2 genotype. That is very important. Okay, yeah, so that's what I said. The significance of the test cross means it helps in the knowing the whether the organism is homozygous or heterozygous for a trait, and it helps in the knowing the genotype of an individual for a particular character, and also it helps in the predicting the genotype of the test organisms. Okay, so this is with respect to the test cross and back cross. See, based on this experiment, whatever the Mendel conducted, he has given the first law. Okay, so the first law of the Mendel, it is also known as the law of dominance. What it says that, okay, the characters are controlled by discrete units called factors. Okay, then the factors occurs in pair. In a dissimilar pair of factors, one member of the pair dominates, that is called dominant, and the other is recessive. Okay, I told you in the earlier classes also, when it comes to the Mendelian propositions, okay, whatever he conducted experimentation, based on this he is given. Okay, so that's what I said. If we take example of capital T, small t only, they are nothing but the capital T is the factor, small t is the another factor. The capital T is a tall indicating dominant character or the dominant factor. Okay, then when it comes to the small t, it is a recessive factor. Okay, in a similar pair, capital T, it will be considered as the dominant homozygous pure tall, that is a dominant character. In recessive small t, there is a similar pair of the factor, that is a homozygous pure dwarf. The plants in heterozygous condition, the capital T always expresses and small t will not expresses in the F1 generation according to the law of the dominance. Okay, as I said, the character which expresses in F1 generation is known as the dominant character, and the character which is not expresses, it is known as recessive character. Okay, yes, so that's what I said with respect to the Mendelian. And the second, when it comes to the second law of the Mendel, it is also popularly known as law of segregation. Remember, so the second law is also known as inheritance of two genes. Okay, in examination also, if they ask the question, give the inheritance of two genes, means it is understood that it is nothing but a law of segregation. Okay, and we can also say, generally, your inheritance of two genes means it is understood that dihybrid cross. So actually how it will be happens, as I said, during the formation of gametes, especially during the gamete formation, whatever the factors, as told you in the last class, they are nothing but alleles. You know what is alleles? A pair of genes occupying a same locus on homologous chromosome and controlling a single or contrasting character is known as alleles. Did you got it? That means during the formation of the gametes, the alleles of a character pair present in parents segregate from each other such that a gamete receives only one of the two factors. That means homozygous parents produces similar gametes. That means homozygous parents always produces homozygous. Okay. Then heterozygous parents, they produces two kinds of the gametes. Okay, as I said, if you take an example of the capital T, the similar pair factor always it will produces the similar gametes. Okay, if you take an example of small t, that's what I said, the homozygous dwarf, it is always produces during the formation of gametes, it will produces only a similar, that is nothing but small t only. But what about in case of the dissimilar pair of the factor? Either the produces half of the number, it will be capital T, then the half of the number will be small t. Did you got it? So that's what generally we will call dissimilar gametes. The probability, or we can also say the chances, it will appear the 50% will become the tall and the 50% may become the dwarf. Okay, so this is how he tried to explain. That's what we call the second law. It is popularly known as law of segregation. Okay, so based on this experiment, whatever the Mendel is given the law. Okay, and he continued the experimentation by crossing with the two parents, by considering nothing but when the alleles were more than two contrasting characters. Okay, whenever he consider, then it will be, that's what we call dihybrid cross. Okay, so it is popularly known as inheritance of two genes. Okay, the same thing you should write. If they ask in examination, the inheritance of two genes means you should write the same thing, and they can ask the law of independent assortments also. You should write a similar experiment, that is dihybrid cross. Or they can ask directly dihybrid cross means also you should write the same thing. Then let us discuss what is this actually dihybrid cross. Okay. When it comes to the definition of the dihybrid cross, it is a cross made between two parents differing in two pairs of contrasting characters. Okay, we can also say in another words, when the alleles for more than two contrasting characters are brought together in F1 hybrid, they assort independently by one another in F2 generation during the formation of gametes. Okay, so this is called, the phenomena is called dihybrid, and whatever the formed hybrids are called dihybrids. Okay, the phenomena is called dihybridization experiment or the dihybrid cross. Okay, the formed hybrids called dihybrids. Okay, so here is an example which is present in your textbook also in your syllabus. Okay, when a cross made between pea plant with a round shaped yellow colored seeds, it's called capital R, capital R, capital Y, and wrinkle shaped and green colored seeds, it's small r, small y. Okay, we can also say it's a cross. Okay, it is a cross made between, that is nothing but the parental generation phenotype, a round yellow and wrinkled green. So here the representation is also given clearly. Okay, you can identify easily. There is no need of confusion also. As I said, how this actually, the process or the cross or experiment the Mendel performs. Okay, what it did actually, when a plant producing round and yellow colored seeds is crossed with a plant producing wrinkled and green colored seeds. Okay, all the F1 hybrids produces a round and yellow colored seeds. So this indicates that alleles for yellow, Y is dominant over green. Okay, that is, and alleles for the round is dominant over the wrinkle. Are you able to understand? Here it's very easy, no need of confusions and all. The parents, whatever he conducted the dihybrid experimentation, he considered as a parents homozygous round yellow as a dominant and the homozygous wrinkled green as a recessive. When they made a cross between two parents, the gamete formation, whenever it will undergo meiosis, what will happen? It will become 2n, becomes n, isn't it? So that the gametes will be capital R, capital Y, small y. So during formation of gametes, half of numbers will be formed. That is 2n is get converted to n. And what about the F1 generation? The filial first generation. It produces heterozygous round yellow. Okay. Then that is nothing but when he continued the same experimentation by considering that is nothing but self-field. Okay, when the F1 hybrids are self-crossed, obtained F2 generation, all the four types of the plants are obtained, such as, this is the gametes. Okay, when he considered as the F1 hybrids and self-crossed, what are the probability or the formation of the gametes? There is a four type of the gametes: capital R, capital Y, then capital R, small y, small r, capital Y, small r, small y. So these are all the four possibilities of the formation of the gametes, isn't it? Are you able to follow? Yes. So that's what I said. When the F1 hybrids are self-crossed to obtain F2 generation, what happened? So this is how exactly he got the results. Okay, so it is just like if you write the Punnett square also, you just note down and write down whenever the cross made between capital R, capital Y with two, it is capital R, capital Y, he got the capital R, capital R, capital Y, capital Y. So that's what round yellow, isn't it? Are you able to get it? Then when he crossed between capital R, capital Y with capital R, small y, capital R, capital Y, small y. Okay, according to law of dominance, it is also round yellow. Then again another one, when he crosses the same capital R, capital Y with small r, capital Y, then capital R, small r, capital Y. That is around LO, isn't it? And similarly, when he crosses the capital R, capital Y with small y, heterozygous around LO. Okay, but here you should identify, so there is another possibilities also. Okay, I mean along with around LO, there is another possibility also. Just note down in the second row, when he crosses capital R, that is nothing but the combination of small y, it produces a round grain. Okay, the similar possibilities we can identify in the last row, isn't it? That means it's about a round LO, there is another possibility, a round grain. And again, you can identify when he crosses small r, capital Y, he got there is another result, wrinkled yellow also, isn't it? Finally, the last one, just identify, that's the homozygous pure, that is nothing but a wrinkled green, small r, small y. Okay, so this is what exactly. So that means all the four type of the plants or of plants, such as I said, round yellow, round green, wrinkled yellow, and wrinkled green. Are you able to identify? Yes. So here the exact number. On observing F2, Mendel found that yellow-green color segregated in 3:1 in case of the monohybrid cross, right? Isn't it? But here you can identify what about the remaining, when he considered yellow-green color segregated in 3:1 ratio, at the same time round and wrinkled seed shape also segregated in the 3:1. If you consider overall among these, what are the possibilities? That is 4 4s are 16 total, isn't it? Among these 16, the 9 are round yellow. Okay, then it is nothing but the phenotypic ratio. That is the physiological expression, isn't it? The phenotypic ratio, 9 out of 16 is round yellow. Then the remaining 3, that is a round green, and again the wrinkled yellow is also 3, and out of 16 only 1 is a wrinkled green. So that based on this experimentation only, the phenotypic ratio or phenotypic expression of the dihybrid F2 phenotypic ratio is nothing but 9:3:3:1, isn't it? That is nothing but 9. Number 9 is nothing but the round yellow, then the 3 are round green, then 3 wrinkled yellow, and the 1 is wrinkled green. So this is nothing but actually phenotypic ratio. I told in the last class also. What is the phenotypic ratio? The external morphological appearance of a character is called phenotype. Isn't it? Yes. And next one, after this one, so if you consider about it is nothing but genotypic ratio. So how to identify? So a similar experiment only, on observing F2, Mendel found that yellow and green color segregated in the ratio, that is 3:1 only, isn't it? At the same time, the round and wrinkled seed shape also segregated in 3:1. But while we are writing the genotypic ratio, you should be careful how it will be. What are the exact genotypic constant, that only you should identify. For example, see here, the capital R, capital Y, that is homozygous round yellow. isn't it? Then there is only one possibility, so that is a 1. Okay. Then the next one, capital R, capital Y, small y. That is nothing but homozygous round, heterozygous yellow. That is the 2 possibilities, isn't it? That's why which is equal to 2. At the same time, the capital R, small r, capital Y. How can you say? That is heterozygous round, homozygous yellow, isn't it? That is also 2. Then capital R, capital Y, small y. That is heterozygous round, heterozygous yellow, or we can also say heterozygous round yellow. There are 4 possibilities. You can identify easily. Yes. Then there is another one, capital R, small y. That is nothing but homozygous round and homozygous green. Are you able to get it? Yes. What do you call it? I told you Y and Y. That is nothing but green, isn't it? Did you got it? No need of confusion. Then capital R, small y. That one also you can say. Yes. How can you say? Heterozygous round and homozygous green. Did you got it? 2. That is 2 possibilities. Then small r, capital Y. What is a small r means? Wrinkled homozygous. There is nothing but wrinkled. This is U. And what about the capital Y? That is yellow. Okay, 1 possibility. You should observe keenly, or else you cannot identify, and it leads to a lot of confusions. You should practice. Okay. Then the another case is small r, capital Y, small y. That is homozygous wrinkled, heterozygous yellow. 2 possibilities. The genetic constant. The last one, homozygous pure wrinkled green. That is small r, small y, which is equal to 1. So based on this, the experiment, the Mendel got the dihybrid F2 ratio, that is called 1:2:1:2, then 4:2:1, 2:1. So whenever you count all these things, you should get the 16. Okay, it's correct, right? If you add all this, then you should get the 16. That's what I said, the possibilities. While we are considering about the monohybrid cross, I told you 2 to the 4 possibilities in F2 generation. While we are considering about the dihybrid cross, 4 4 the 16. Okay. So if you have a still doubt, you can add the phenotypic ratio also. If you add the 9:3:3:1 also, you will get the 16. Okay. If you add the genotypic ratio, all the characters, the genotypic ratio, you will get the 16. So, okay, so this is clear. How exactly? Okay, yeah. If you made any mistakes, means you will not get it. If it is correct, then only you will get exact one, the phenotypic ratio as well as genotypic ratio. See, based on this one, whatever he has given the law, that is the third law, it is also known as law of independent assortment. I was telling about this one in the beginning only. Okay, the third law or the law of independent assortment, it is based on the results of dihybrid cross. Okay, so that's what I said. Even if they ask in the examination, the law of independent assortments, you should write the dihybrid cross only. But if they ask exactly, because in competitive they will ask exactly based on the particular statement. Okay, so how it will be? How can you define the law of independent assortment? Okay, it states that when more than one pair of characters are involved in a cross, the factor space independently segregate from the other pair of the characters. Okay, I will repeat once again. the law of independent assortments, it states that when more than one pair of characters are involved in a cross, factors pairs independently segregate from the other pair of characters. Okay, so for the in detailed explanation as well as for the purpose of the identification, you can just observe the right side, which is whatever we have given the segregation of the factor pairs. The possibility, if you consider the capital A small a as a heterozygous condition, at the same time if you consider the capital B small b as another factors, when we cross made between these two factors pairs, what will happen is during the formation, that is nothing but during the formation of the gametes, what will happen? The 2n is get converted into n. That's why the capital A small a segregates, at the same time capital B small b segregates, isn't it? Then the capital A capital B remains as a one, the character. At the same time small a small b remains as another character. Okay, so if we continue the similar experiment in the next generation, so then it will be considered as the F2. That's what I said, the selfing. In the next generation, what will be the possibility? So if we consider the same, the characters only without hybrid, they will give, the produces similar gametes only, isn't it? If we consider the hybrid, then only there is a possibilities. But according to this one, what we say, it states that when more than one pair of characters involved in a cross, the factors pairs independently segregate from the other pair of the characters. Okay, for that purpose it is given, so you can identify easily. There is no need of confusion also. See, remember the Mendel, actually the concept of the dominance, how he made actually. Okay, so for the purpose of understanding, he has given some of the examples by considering in humans also. So let us study the concept of the dominance, how it will be. Okay, see, every gene contains a particular information to express a particular trait. For example, I told you in the last class, the pattern of the skin, okay, and also you can also say the pattern of the hair, the color of the eye, that is nothing but eye cornea. So these are all will be considered as the particular, character, isn't it? That where it will be, every gene contains the information to express a particular trait. Okay. In heterozygote, that is nothing but heterozygous conditions, there are two types of the alleles. That's what I said. If you take that is tall and dwarf only, in a heterozygous condition, capital T small t will be there, isn't it? So, but in case of the humans, if you take a consideration of the humans also, the allele of the brown eye color is unmodified allele, and allele of the blue eye color is modified allele. So how it will be related to? If you consider similar experimentation, I will tell you about this one again in the next coming classes also. While we are discussing about the incomplete dominance, I will tell you once again. Okay, but let me to tell you how this concept of the dominance, how it will be. Okay, as I said, when we cross made between the parents, in F1 generation, what will happen? One character will express us, another character will not express us. Whatever the character expresses, it is known as a dominant character, and other will be considered as recessive, isn't it? But how it will be exactly? Okay. So what is the reason for this one? So that's what here it is given. In heterozygote condition, there are two types of the alleles which is present. So that may be possibility, one possibility, unmodified, normal or functioning alleles. Okay, it is generally dominant and represents original phenotype. Okay, So that is the reason, one reason. And there may be another reason. Modified allele, it is generally recessive. See, here in the lower side of the slide, they have given completely how it will be. If it will be unmodified allele crosses with unmodified allele, the same thing, both are similar, right? Then it will be homozygous. Homozygous means similar gene pair. Okay. So then there is another possibility. If unmodified allele, that is comes under the modified allele. So that means when the cross is made between unmodified allele with respect to the modified allele, what will be happens here? There is a heterozygous gene pair. Okay, whenever it will be heterozygous, as I said, only one character will express this. Okay, according to the law of dominance, only one character expresses. Okay, so whatever the character expresses is known as the dominant. Fine. If it will be recessive, that is not expresses. But what about the both if they are recessive, the modified alleles, so then when they comes in contact of similar genes, that homozygous gene pair, if they are recessive, they will produce only the recessive genes. Okay, so this is how the concept of the dominance can be explained, as well as it is easy to understand also. Okay, then there is another concept, the concept of the dominance. As I said, then is what will be the reason? Consider a gene that contains the information for producing an enzyme. That normal allele of that gene produces normal enzyme. Modified allele is responsible for the production of. Again, there are two possibilities. Okay, try to understand in an easiest manner. See, whatever it is given here. The consider a gene, for example, if you take an example of any one gene. Okay, so let me tell you, for example, when we are considering about the flower color only, the violet will be considered the dominant, right? Okay, then what about the recessive? White will be recessive. Okay, are you able to getting? Then what about the particular? Green will be considered the dominant and yellow will be considered recessive, isn't it? So like that, consider a gene that contains information for producing an enzyme that is responsible for the production of particular color. Okay, just take an example. Then a normal allele of that gene produces a normal enzyme. Okay, then what about the another case? The modified allele is responsible for the production of. There are three possibilities. One possibility, the normal or less efficient enzyme. Then there is another possibility, non-functional enzyme. So there is another possibility, no enzyme at all. So what is this actually? Let me to explain. Briefly, see, as I said in the first case, when the modified allele is responsible for the production of the normal or less efficient enzyme, in this case, modified allele will produce the same phenotype unlike unmodified alleles. Okay, thus, modified allele is equivalent to unmodified allele. Okay, so here is the identification. The unmodified allele produces enzyme. The modified allele produces enzyme. The indications. Then there is a second case, non-functional enzyme. What may be happens? In these cases, the phenotype will dependent only on the functioning of the unmodified allele. Thus, the modified allele becomes a recessive. That's what I said. The case 2, the non-functional enzyme. Unmodified allele produces enzyme and the modified allele produces non-functional enzyme. Then the last one, the case 3, no enzyme at all. The modified allele produces enzyme. The modified allele produces no enzyme. Okay. So these are all the three possibilities. When it comes to the concept of the dominance, we can study about all these things. Okay, so let it be. Next class again we will continue. While we are studying about the, there is another topic. Next topic I will tell you. So this is interconnection, because for the purpose of understanding the derivation of the Mendelian principles, so this is very important. That's why I told all about these things. Okay, so fine. So let it be. Next class we will continue. Today what we will discuss. Today what we will discussed about the inheritance of the two gene. So popularly it is known as the dihybrid cross. Okay, in general we can also say, remember, when the alleles for the more than two contrasting characters are brought together in F1 hybrids, they assort independently by one another in F2 generation during the formation of gametes. Okay, or we can also say, what is a dihybrid cross? It's a phenomena during which a cross is made between. Okay, so as it is same, the definition for the monohybrid, but here it is a type. What we will consider? We will consider two pairs, considering it two pair of contrasting characters. Okay, remaining on all same as it is, and we were also discussed about the concept of the dominance. Fine. So let it be. Next class we will continue the remaining things. Thank you. Have a nice day.